Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Five Hole Fantasy Hockey Podcast. We're your hosts today, TJ and Zach.
Hey. Get right into it.
Yeah, we are. We're doing a midday episode, so my daughter is sleeping. You know, we're kind of at her mercy here. So we're going to pound this one out and get going. So week 4 preview.
Stay chill, Mags. Stay chill.
I hope so. So we're Five Hole Fantasy Hockey. You can find us on Twitter at FHF Hockey. Jump in the Fantasy Hockey Discord. Let's pop right into injuries. It's going to be a speed round. That's what it's going to be.
It is going to be a speed round. Okay, starting off. David Krejci, our boy, he took a stick to the face. He is day-to-day right now. JT Miller, Rogers' boy, day-to-day with an undisclosed. Valerie Nichushkin.
Hold on.
Go check it out.
I don't know if you heard it. It sounded like something.
I did. It sounded like a bump. Valerie Nichushkin another five-hole favorite. He is out with a lower body injury. He did not play Friday, and he may be out for some small amount of time here. Marchand came back. That friggin' guy. He came back. In his one game played, Marchand scored 2 freaking goals and assist. But then was a healthy scratch on Friday. So they said it was just kind of like they're being careful.
Yeah, they're not going to play him on back-to-backs.
Yeah. So, but he did have a great game in his first game back. Jeff Carter, he sustained a lower body injury. Actually, a lot of lower body injuries going. The rest of them are. Jeff Carter, lower body injury. John Carlson and TJ Oshie both left their game on Saturday with lower body injuries and did not return. And this one hurts TJ. Jake Ottinger.
Yeah, still don't know what's up with that.
So DeBoer did say that, I guess there is kind of a silver lining here. He didn't return to the game, but he did return to the bench. And DeBoer made it seem like, he was getting seen by doctors, but at least that is a good sign. Dude, fucking Jake Ottinger has a .952 this season and a 1.4 goals against average. He is so good. It's sad that he is out right now. That's my guy, and we all know that.
Jonas Korpisalo, he's back. They recalled him today. So I don't know what they're going to do with Tarasov, but that game starts in like 5 minutes. So we're recording. It's like 1:50 in the afternoon here. Just want to toss that one in. All right.
Well, I'm not going to lie.
Start off,
I have the Eagles game on. Let's start off now.
With some storylines. Evan Bouchard took a couple reps on the top power play unit, had 4:01 power play time on ice. Get this, though. Tyson Barrie had 7 minutes power play time on ice. So I don't know if it's like sustained power play one, because Barrie in the game against Calgary yesterday also had power play one. He got 60% of the power play time on ice. So I don't know what to make of it, because I had that take where Bouchard's just been stupid, underwhelming. And then, of course, he goes off. He gets 3 assists in his last 3 games since I dropped him. And then had that, extended look on the power play. Game against Chicago, I can't believe they lost it. Like, we're still in bizarro world, which is, it's weird how the early season, Toronto can't beat bad teams, but they're hanging with good teams. A lot of really weird stuff. So I don't know what to make of Bouchard at this point. Obviously he's still pretty relevant. I needed to make room. I had Marchand coming back, so there were definitely... Tom already picked him up, so it's what it is. Yeah.
Shit happens, man.
Shit happens. All right, Vancouver. I wish Raj was here for this one. We can't get a hold of him, so we just had to go because the window of my daughter sleeping is
finite.
Yeah. So we just had to roll. But yeah, Vancouver made a couple trades. Michael DiPietro, and they had a right-handed defensive prospect went to Boston, and there were 2 sides of Vancouver Twitter after that trade. I'm gonna have to look up the name of the prospect, and that just kind of goes into it too. Is he's their best right-handed shot prospect, but it's like they're so thin at that position. Jonathan Mierenberg. So yes, it stinks to give up a very scarce position, whichever it is. I don't know. Which is it? Do you know? Scarce?
You just love saying that. It's like one of your it's one of your favorite words.
Anyway, so it's a very thin position,
25
right-handed defensive prospects.
I like Jack Studnicka, though.
Yeah.
I'm not going to
And
lie. I
obviously,
like Jack Studnicka.
His ceiling seems to have plateaued a little bit and reached the end of his line in Boston. So this is kind of a win-win for everybody. Michael DiPietro fell down the depth chart with Spencer Martin, Thatcher Demko. Things just happen. And then Vancouver goes and gets Ethan Bear and Lane Peterson for a 5th-round pick from Carolina, who retained $400K on Bear. I don't know. Like, the Vancouver is very divided about this because their forward depth is not lacking whatsoever. They have a shit ton of guys. They can barely keep them all on the roster as it is, and they're bringing in Jack Studnicka. The Ethan Bear move, I think that's great. For a 5th-round pick, you get a puck move in D. That's good. So just wanted to, I don't know, is there any fantasy relevance here, you think?
In all honesty, Carolina was not really using Ethan Bear.
Yeah, I think this is
he
all...
he was pretty down on their depth chart, and they just weren't using him. He did get sick, and pretty much the whole thing with him, or at least as far as, the talk down here, was after he got sick, he just kind of wasn't the same. So I think a new place for Ethan Bear is going to be a good thing.
I think that a new place for all these guys is a new thing, or a good thing. Like, a lot of this just screams do right by the player. Like, Michael DiPietro has a chance now in Boston to climb up there. Obviously you have Swayman, but they just pitched Vladar, who wound up in Calgary. So, like, they got to sort out their goaltending depth there. Ethan Bear obviously going to help Vancouver's defense, because that's been a big issue. But anyway, Gabriel Velarde, our guy, unseated Kevin Fiala on line 1 in Los Angeles and just keeps on rolling. Fiala, who was ice cold, moved to line 3. So I don't know. Is this a good buy low time for Fiala? Like, obviously he is a guy that second half
drafted.
is kind of his thing, right?
He was highly drafted too. Like,
yeah, I don't think this is long term. Like, you look at the sustainability, the underlying stats of Gabriel Velarde, and there's no way that this is going to continue for 82 games. So when that does eventually
it's the
cool
shooting
down,
percentage.
Oh, come on. Yeah, it's barely underlying even. So it's pretty much on the surface. You can see it. Like, Velarde is not going to continue at this pace. So things are going to round out. I think Fiala, comes. They just spent what, $7 million? I forget the exact number, but like they paid the guy as like a first liner. So if I'm making bets here, Fiala is going to be back on line 1 before Christmas.
But that's the perfect thing to do, though. Like, why would you not go in on a guy who is on an amazing hot streak? That's if he's still available until he's off that hot streak, that's when you're dropping him. Like, you're still going out and getting a Gabe Velarde, even though what is his shooting percentage like? It's like 24% or 26%, something like that.
It's up there. He's got 7 goals on 27 shots, so he's scoring on like almost a third to a quarter. Yeah, so like 25%. You're bang on. It's not going to continue. But he's playing hot. Like, hot hands, a coach putting hot hands in the game does not stop at goalies. Like, you can't, the hot hand is going to move up to the first line. And Velarde's hands right now, they're fucking scorching. So let it ride. All right, Raj has some notes here. I'm going to skip the rest of that stuff. Like, we'll talk about John Klingberg on Tuesday Trends. Raj has got some stuff here. His standout performance was Ilya Mishiev, who I guess Raj last week was, he was pretty down on these guys, and it was easy to be down on the Vancouver Canucks. They were winless. They were not playing well, and then they found their spark. Like, they finally put together a win. Him and Kuzmenko start to find chemistry. Mishiev's got 5 points, 8 shots on goal, 2 power play points, 3 hits, 3 blocks all last week. Things look good there. I don't want to speak too much for Raj, but let's move on to your standouts here. Man, there's a name.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because we brought him up 2 episodes ago, and that's Max Domi. 26% owned. He had a goal and 3 assists this past week, and 3 of those points were all in in the last game that he played. We put a spotlight on Domi, and he actually came through, so I'm pretty fucking excited about it. And then, like we were talking about, I did bring up Jake Ottinger here. He is down to a 952, so I mean, he's definitely declining from the 960. So yeah, I know.
Just follow the trend line.
I just wanted to point out how fantastic he was. But yeah, I picked Max Domi. He was my standout player of the week because he's very available and he's going out there and doing it. That's the guys that I'm going to usually try to do these standout performers.
I went with Zach Hyman, who went over a goal per game last week with a little help of the empty net, but no big deal. 5 goals, 2 assists in his last 4 games, 2 penalty minutes, a power play goal, 17 shots in 4 games. So shooting very, very good. They're throwing things at the wall in Edmonton, and it's really starting to work. They got RNH inside the top 6 again, and things are working. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, I mean, just by himself, he's got 6 points in the last 4. I don't know. I mean, McDavid's obviously going to be inside the top 10 always. Draisaitl's playing out of his mind. Zach Hyman, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. A lot of good things coming out of Edmonton right now. Let's get into the tips of the week. I see you're typing a little bit, so I'm gonna go right into it. This week sucks. This week sucks for streaming. It really does. Like, the light nights are very light, and the teams to be streaming from are tough. Like, we're going at the bottom of the barrel. If you're looking for offense, it's It's Carolina and Buffalo, and that is brutal. Light nights are very light. Heavy nights are very heavy. You're going to be leaning on your roster quite a bit. So I think, if there are some guys that you're fighting to whether or not you're going to keep them, whether or not you're going to drop them. Like, Tuesday's got 12 games, Thursday 13, Saturday 14. You're going to have guys on your bench. And if one of those bench guys is somebody that you've been debating whether or not to hold on to or to drop, this might be the week to do it, because you're going to have guys on your bench on the heavy nights. Monday's only got 3 games. Wednesday 2, Friday 2, Sunday 3. We're really throwing darts here at Buffalo and Carolina players. Like, we're talking about Casey Middlestat this week. We're talking about Victor Olofsson. We're not going for
Victor Olofsson.
These really attractive streamer
I like
guys.
Victor Olofsson.
That second line looks really good too in Buffalo. So I think anybody on that second line when we get to the streamers, but it's, I don't know if we're going to have week-long holds. That's the thing. So we're going to talk about guys that are good for week-long holds, but I think we might be talking spot starts this week. If you got 4 ads, there's 4 off nights. Make an ad every off night and just kind of go from there. The problem is, like, those off nights, it's only Buffalo and Carolina. Buffalo is the only team that plays Monday, Wednesday. Carolina, the only team that plays Friday, Sunday. So when we're doing the weekend preview, Carolina's the only team, the only one. And, like, the guys that are worth talking about, Martin Necas, Seth Jarvis, these guys are like right around 50%. I think Necas, last time I looked, he was like 47%. Seth Jarvis is like 53, 54. So it's tough. Like, we're really reaching at this point. So that's my tip, is just, stay on top of your schedule day to day.
My tip for this week is get right off the bat on Monday and pick the right game. And the right game is the Blues versus the Kings. I really think it's gonna be a high scoring game. The Blues have given up 4 or more goals they've given up 3 or more goals in 4 straight games. I almost said that backwards. The Kings given up 3 or more goals in 8 out of their 10 games so far this season. On top of the fact that the Blues also just gave up, 7 goals against, was it the Canadians last night? I believe so. They gave up a ton of goals last night.
Bennington for all of them.
So, with only 3 games on Monday, I think this is the game that you really have to look at. I think it's going to be high scoring, and, I'm taking that game, and I'm going heavy on it. Get out to a lead right away.
There are there's a good chance the over hits in that game. Like both of those teams, the Kings and the Blues, have been, through 7 games as far as it's been in the season so far, they've been high offensive teams, they've been bad defensive teams. So like they have shown every single angle, and that game could very well be like 6-5. It's going to be a bruiser. All right, let's get into the best and the worst schedules here. We talked about Carolina and Buffalo right off the hop. 4 games, 3 off nights. Those are the only teams. 4 games, 2 off nights. That's Detroit. 4 games, 1 off night. Florida, Washington, the Kings here, and Anaheim. Bad schedules is shit. I don't think I updated that one. Did I? Is it St. Louis again?
Yeah.
Yeah, Minnesota,
Yeah.
Winnipeg, Columbus all have 2 games. St. Louis has another 2-game week, and the Colorado Avalanche have a 2-game week. Damn, like I thought I fucking typoed here because St. Louis, out of 4 weeks, they have had the worst schedule 3 out of them so far. It is really tough owning St. Louis Blues right now. Even tougher owning like Jordan Kyrou, who's ice cold at this point. So, if we're going to talk in trends about Artturi Lehkonen. Evan Rodriguez got moved up to the top line. So I don't know. What would you do with Lehkonen right now? Colorado, bad schedule. He got moved off the top line. I think he's still on the top power play. I don't know. That's a tough one.
I'd find it hard to drop Lehkonen. If I drop Lehkonen, TJ picks him up. That would be a hard pill to swallow, because I think that he has a really high upside, especially even on that second line. Like I'm holding on that one. Just chill for a second on the Lehkonen.
It's tough. He's 6 points in 9 games. He's been cold a little bit. I don't know. The time on ice is still very
games,
much.
Huh?
Well, how many of those were in the first 2 games? I think 5 of them were.
I feel you. It's just hard to
fucking
believe that Lehkonen is, the bottom of your roster, even though he doesn't have those games played this week.
Yeah, so
but
6
also
points,
at the same time, at least they're both against fucking Columbus.
6 points in 9 games. Also has 2 points in his last 7. So that's where Lehkonen is right now. He put up 4 points in his first 2 games against Calgary, Chicago, and just hasn't really... I mean, he's putting up shots here and there, consistently above 20 minutes time on ice, so I don't know. That's a tough one. Real tough one. All right, St. Louis, Columbus, Winnipeg, Minnesota. I got Ryan Hartman on my roster right now just for the Sunday game. He'll be gone. Cole Perfetti out of Winnipeg, he can go. If you're looking at like Jack Roslovic from Columbus, drop him. Colorado, Lehkonen's a fucking tough one. It's a really tough one. I don't know. Hit us up on Twitter and let us know like who you're thinking about picking up. But you got a drop here. You got an add and a hold. Let's talk about it.
Okay. So for my drop, I'm dropping Noah Hannafin. He is 60% owned right now. He has 0 points this season. He's off that top power play, which we've seen Rasmus Andersson on. He's been playing pretty fucking shitty, and he is 60% owned with 0 points. That's the
down
thing.
To 57. So people are onto it.
So I am dropping Noah Hannafin. He's my number 1 drop. On top of the fact that, I believe they play on all heavy nights this week. I'm fine with losing him. My add and hold at the same time is Anders Lee, like we talked about before. He had another assist last night. At least when I did this, he was 50%, or he was 52% owned. But he is increasingly rising in ownership. So I'm picking up Anders Lee now while you still can.
Islanders have been on another level right now, too.
They've been playing very well, and he's been a part of a lot of those points.
The last 2 games, they put up how many goals? 6 and 5. So 11 goals in the last 2 games.
At least 5 in both. I couldn't remember exactly what.
Yeah, it's nuts. So mine's not a drop. Mine's more of a chopping block, and it would be a lot closer if Carolina didn't have the best schedule this week. And it's Seth Jarvis. I've got my eye on this guy just because I don't like he's not matching his deployment in terms of production. You can't cut him this week because of Carolina's schedule, but it's definitely en route to the last straw for me. At the time of writing this, he had 2 points in his last 5 games. Checking he's got 2 points in his last 8 at this point. Let's see what he did in his last game. I think that was against Philly. Yeah, no points, 1 shot, 13 minutes time on ice. So
Brent Burns
I'm
came
holding
up
on.
big, though.
Oh, he did. He finally got a goal. Looking at Jarvis this week as kind of my last straw. Like if he's on notice. If he doesn't produce this week with a 4-game 3 off night week, I gotta cut bait. And at this point, he's 53% rostered. I can imagine he goes up. He's actually 50% rostered, so people are already dropping him. But this being such a good week, if he's available in your league, like this is weird. I'm saying like I don't like him, but also he's maybe one of the best options for this week. Him and
this
Martin
week,
Nietzsche.
week.
Yeah, so hopefully things can change.
It's hard to get off of a top line player, and like he's still pretty solidified into that top line. Like It's not like they've really moved him down the lineup to shake things up or anything. Martin Nietzsche could get a look on that top line, but they're keeping Jarvis there.
No, that second line is playing out of their mind right now, so I don't think they break up that second line at all. And they did do a little bit of in-game maintenance, like Teravainen was taken off the top line, and they put Jordan Martinook up there. So, at this point, they're pointing the fingers at Turbo and not at Jarvis yet. But we'll see what happens. Like Rod Brindamore is notorious for changing his lines. My hold is Jake DeBrusk. 33 shots on goal in his last 7, almost 5 shots per game, point per game during that span. He's looking really, really feisty. And he kept his spot on the top power play, even with Marchand coming back. They were running a 5-forward power play. Now with Krejci out, I wonder what they're going to do. Like, DeBrusk's spot not in jeopardy. I'm just wondering who that 5th piece is going to be. But yeah, he's got 7 points in his last 8. I don't know what his last game looked like. I'm looking that up right now. They played Columbus, and he had a goal and 6 shots. So he's still keeping it up. 2 hits, 2 blocks. Definitely holding Jake DeBrusk, who at the time of writing this was 46% rostered, and he's still 46% rostered. So he's my hold. Definitely holding him through this week. Let's get into streamer suggestions. Zach, you'll start us off, and then we'll tag team Raj's picks here.
All right. So first off, my number 1 streamer suggestion is Victor Olofsson for goals. And while I had written this beforehand, and he had another 2 goals last night. He loves to shoot. This is definitely a points-only guy. But, I mean, you got to love all these off nights. And he's only 13% owned. So with Buffalo having a good schedule this week, Victor Olofsson is probably my number 1 because he is so available. And also he is legit getting points. So this is the time that you want to jump on Vic Olofsson. And in all honesty, I'm not saying that he is by any means a hold. But at this time, this week, I'm on him. Number 2, Gabe Velarde. Obviously, we talked about him a little bit earlier, and we're not going to stop talking about him until he stops. But he is 47% owned, so he is still under 50%. He's on that top line. Oh,
Not
he is
anymore.
over 50% now?
Up
What
to
is he up to?
54, yeah. People
Ooh,
are catching
see,
on.
that's what I'm saying. So, in a span of,
16
28 hours, yeah, something
Is
like
how-
that.
okay.
Like he is up another 7%. But dude, 4 shots on goal each of his last 2 games, 2 goals and assist in that time. He's just playing really well. I understand that the 25.9% shooting percentage, definitely scary. I understand that. But that's when you want to get on somebody. When they are doing that, he is going to cool down, and that's a fact. But while he's still doing it, why are you not
Ride the
picking
wave.
him up?
Ride the wave, baby.
Yeah. My last one is one of my old favorites, and that's Colton Parayko. He is 13% owned, but I wanted to kind of throw in a hits and blocks guy, and that's something that Periaco does. On top of the fact that he does shoot and he does get points. I mean, it's not like he's he's not a Brent Burns or anything like this where he's going to be really shooting all over the place, but he's definitely going to get you hits and blocks and has a chance of points. 13% of this, by the way.
I think with a week like this, like getting defensemen, maybe you're riding low on defensemen or just looking for bangs. Like you're going to be, most of the teams this week have heavy schedules, so it's going to be hard fitting people in. My first pick is Casey Middlestat. 1 goal, 4 assists in his last 6 games. Again, I got to check and see if he did anything to add on to that. 1 goal and 5 assists in his on the season so far. Not shooting a ton, but he is on the second power play unit. He is centering the second line with your Victor Olofsson and Jack Quinn, who is on the top power play, but is not putting up top power play numbers.
Shit, though.
Yeah, he's 3% rostered. He's got 1 assist, 3 shots on goal in his last 4. So there's not a ton going on for him. Let's check his last game. Oh, he did shoot a bunch of times in his last game, so good for you, Jack Quinn. His game log. Let's get to it. Sorry. Doing this on the fly here. 5 shots against Chicago. So, okay, maybe, with that kind of outburst, he might be a little interesting, but I would pick Middlestat ahead of him. I would pick Jeff Skinner ahead of him. He's got 3 points in his last 3 games, 7 shots in that span. You want to hear something wild? Tage Thompson has 20 shots in his last 3 games. You did not mishear me.
People have been down on Tage Thompson.
Well, he put up a fucking game last game. 2 goals, 1 assist. So he's somebody, just go check. 65% right now. He has been cold up until last game, but we know what he did last year. We know what kind of player he is. Tom and Ice has dipped down a little bit, but he's producing. He's starting to produce. Just look at the shot volume. 20 shots in his last 3 games. 16 in his last 2. That's 8 shots a game. That's nuts. So, if he's out there, I would definitely get him as a streamer this week. But, for more availability, I'm looking at Jeff Skinner. I'm looking at Casey Middlestat, Olofsson, like you said. Another just go check is Martin Necas, who just won't stop. He can't stop. And at this point, he's 48% rostered. So,
sorry, it's
he's
a
got
song.
2 goals, 2 assists in his last 3 games, 10 shots in that span. Is taking faceoffs, which is actually pretty surprising. I don't know if that has to do with Jesperi Kotkaniemi maybe not doing as much, but he's like tit for tat. Necas has 27 faceoffs, and Jesperi Kotkaniemi's got 36. So it's really not too far off in the last 3 games here. Kotkaniemi, for some reason, he's just not getting in on the Svechnikov and Necas points. It's almost like he's purposefully trying not to be. But Necas is. Right now, he's an easy top 75 player in most leagues. So he's the guy I'm looking at. He's on that second line, which is red hot. He's shooting a good amount, and he has been consistent. If you look at his last 3 games, his average time on ice is 20 minutes. So that's fantastic. Everything there, except for the shooting percentage, looks really, really good. Alexander Kerfoot is my last one. He's 10%, center, left wing, right wing. Toronto does only have 3 games this week, but they got 2 off nights, which are hard to come by this week. He's tri-eligible, so even on that heavy night, there is more flexibility for you to possibly get him on your roster. And he's on the line, too. He took Nicky Bobby's spot there, Nick Robertson. So, if you have Nick Robertson, I would switch him out for Kerfoot at this point. I'm not sure what's going on with Nick Robertson at this point, but, Kerfoot's inside the top 6, so he's the guy I'd be going with. I will take... I'm going to take one of Raj's here, and it's going to be Philip Hronek.
See, that's bullshit.
I'm taking the good one here.
That is horse shit. I was going to take that one.
He's running the top power play. They're pretty split power plays at this point, but Hronek's got the same time on ice as Seider, just a little bit better deployment at this rate. So when you're looking at the 2 side by side, the offensive production right now is going to Hronek. Sider's got 1 assist in his last 4. Hronek's got 2. One of them's on the power play. He's got 7 shots to Sider's 4. Sider obviously going to be bringing the bangs. But, we're talking about a guy who's going to be offensive production. And Detroit's one of the teams that they're literally the only team with 2 off nights and 4 games this week. So, you're looking at Oli Matas. You're looking at Adam Ernie's if you're looking for hits. Joe Valeno is even hitting a bunch. Ben Sherratt for bangs. Lots to go there. So why don't you take your next pick?
I'm going to take Dylan Strome. You get Dylan Strome down here, and I actually do like Dylan Strome. He's 24% owned. Line 1, power play 1. He has that Monday off night. And even though it's not the best schedule for Washington, they do have a pretty easy road at least for the week. But what you have to like is next week they have a perfect schedule.
Oh, so this is a 2-week hold, eh?
It could be interesting. I mean, you have to admit, you might as well get in early on somebody. He has a decent schedule this week, a fantastic schedule next week. So I'm in on it.
Dig it. I'm looking at Raj's last one here, and it's Carter Verhaeghe. Florida's got 4 games. The only off night that they do have at this point is on Sunday, but it's a super easy road trip. Arizona, San Jose, L.A., Anaheim. Outside of L.A., those are plush games. Verhaeghe's been pretty quiet so far, Raj puts down here. There's always a potential to break out. For a while we were waiting for Barkov to break out. And Verhaeghe was the one that was doing it at this point. So is that right? They have Tkachuk up on line 1 now? Yeah, with Barkov. So Verhaeghe's on a line with Barkov and Tkachuk. Balcer's moving into the top 6 with Reinhart and Bennett. I wouldn't even mind Balcer's for a Sunday stream at this point. Anyway, yeah, I think Carter Verhaeghe at 38% is a good spot for offense. He's not going to do much for you in the bangs. So let's talk about our banger suggestion. Raj here has Marty Fevs, which is great because, again, you bring up the perfect schedule next week. This is a guy you can ride for 2 weeks and just stack up hits. Garnet Hathaway on the same team, really good play. All right, who's your guy?
I'm going a weird one. Very available. Going Connor Clifton. He didn't have a huge banger game his last game, but he played great last week. He 3.5 hits per game, 1.5 blocks per game. He's somebody out there getting multiple hits, multiple blocks each game. I think that he's a good look. I like Connor Clifton. That's a deep one. I know.
No, yeah, that really, really strong offensive week. That it was like a kind of coming out party. All right, mine's going to be Ben Sherratt, and it's just out of necessity at this point because there's not, you look at Buffalo, yeah, maybe Ilya Lyubushkin, Matthias Samuelson's on IR, so he would have been my pick, but there's not really any banger guys in Carolina. Maybe you go Jordan Staal. There's nothing really going on, so I'm just going to go Ben Sherratt because they have the 2 off nights. They got 4 games, 18 hits, 10 blocks in 8 games so far this season, 16 shots, doing a little bit of everything. Tomanice is really good. If I'm remembering correctly, he is Mart Seider's partner, so there's that. Honorable mentions, you put up Phil Deneau here, and I put Tage Thompson and Phil Hronek, who we did cover, so... what do you like about Deneau?
He's only 18% owned. He's on a 3-game point streak, and he has 3 games in 4 days to start the week. I like that. You know how I feel about 3 games in 4 days. It's one of my favorite things. So I think that he's a good look.
All right, let's do some back-to-back analysis here. Starting off on Halloween, Monday, Tuesday. Was that nobody? Nobody with a back-to-back?
No, I want nobody. There's nobody okay. I want to stream. I most certainly don't want a Callie Peets, Cal Peterson. I don't want him against the Stars. That sounds horrible. I want And I want no part of fucking Charlie Lindgren either. You know what I mean? Those are pretty much the goalies that are available on, like, for that Monday, Tuesday. Lindgren's given up 3 goals in both appearances so far this year. So, no, I don't want to stream either of those people, which are the people I think are going to be the most available.
Tuesday, Wednesday is not much prettier. You got the Flyers, the New York Rangers, and then Toronto. So Sandstrom against either of those two sounds awful. Pittsburgh, DeSmith versus Buffalo, you would think. Buffalo is like, they can put up goals. So that's a scary one. Wednesday, Thursday, there are no back-to-backs. And Thursday, Friday, you got somebody earmarked here on the only set of back-to-backs.
I like Antti Raanta. Antti Raanta, 35%, so he is, decently available in most leagues. He's likely to see Buffalo instead of Tampa. And this year so far, he has a .922 and a 1.93 goals against average so far this season. Now, it's only been through 2 games played, but he has also showed a, real ability, especially last year when Freddie got hurt, that he can actually carry the load too. So I like Antti Raanta just in general. Whenever he's playing, I'm down to pick him up, I guess is the idea. Whenever he's playing, he is worth a stream. Yeah.
He is one of like the more sturdy backups in the league.
For Friday, Saturday. So Friday, Saturday, you got the Avalanche versus Columbus. And out of the goalies that are available, I'm taking Francouz. Francouz at 46%. Georgiev obviously is much more owned, but Francouz is available in over half of leagues, and I think that they're going to beat Columbus. And that's what I'm trying to get out of whenever I'm looking for a goalie stream. I'm looking for a fucking win, and I think that they're going to win.
Saturday, Sunday has a bunch of them: the Panthers, the Red Wings, the Ducks, and the Maple Leafs. I'm with you. I think I like the Florida Panthers versus the Ducks. So we're looking at Spencer Knight here. Why is he so highly owned?
I'm honestly, I don't exactly know, but he is at least a go check. The whole thing is, I want no part of Anthony Stolarz. I don't want to pick up Anthony Stolarz. If Spencer Knight is available, which he is available in a quarter of leagues, he is definitely worth a look.
I mean, Husso versus the New York Islanders. I don't know. It's going to be a tough one.
New York Islanders are scoring fucking points right now.
That's a tough one. That Spencer Knight's so highly owned. That is nuts.
Okay,
Jesus,
so pretty much I will say this.
Jesus.
My main goalie streamer for the entire week, the one that I want the most, is Antti Raanta. That's the goalie stream that I am looking at the most. I want no part of Casey DeSmith. You are fully fucking aware of this. I want no Lindgren. I want no Peterson. I'm down for a Francouz, but Antti Raanta is my number one.
Yeah. Francouz would be all right. I'm not as down on Charlie Lindgren as you are, but those matchups are tough. What was it? It was Carolina and Vegas. That's tough.
Well, I mean, you have to take that stuff into account. Like, you have to understand who they're playing. You're obviously looking for a win, so you have to walk a line of, like, that's what you got to do with these goalie streams. You have to walk a line on, do I think that, this person is going to get a win? And if they don't get a win, are they at least going to, get me some sort of points? So, yeah, I'm just saying, Antti Raanta, he's my number one.
All right,
I think you should jump on board.
Week. Streamer of the week, who do you got?
Victor Olofsson.
Is there? Yeah, I think
Victor
that's
Olofsson. I'm glad that he scored those 2 goals last night to really make me feel strong about this. But then he's probably going to score no points. But he is still my streamer pick of the week. I hope he pans out. I did a good job with Dawson Mercer last week, so I'm hoping to go 2 for 2 in these last 2 weeks here.
I think Martin Nietzsche is an absolute layup if he's available, but chances are he's not going to be. Otherwise, I would go for somebody like Olofsson. You already had Olofsson here, so I'm going to go Middlestat as my guy. Raj had Dylan Strome as his streamer of the week, and that's going to be a 2-week stream. He's top line center in Washington and getting top power play time here and there. So smart move as well. That's it. We're going to do this one, no edits. We're just going to throw on the intro, outro music. I got to get upstairs because my daughter is still sleeping. That noise, by the way, that was my dog chasing my cat. So it's just It sounded like Maggie fell off the couch. Like, great. We just started. But no, we're good. So shorter episode here, but no edit. Yeah. All right. We'll catch you guys next time. We got Tuesday Trends coming up, and then I'm going to Dallas for 6 weeks of training. So you guys are probably on your own again for the weekend preview, and then I'll get settled in, and I'll meet you guys there for the week preview next time. So anyway, thanks for listening, guys. Love yous.
Love yous.